First of all, credit to Ouachita Christian. They did a tremendous job. We have a ton of respect for those guys. It was a classy game, two teams that just didn't have any quit in them. You know, our goal this year was to make sure our guys got to play their football games. So, you know, them to be able to go out on their home field as much as it's not, you know, exactly what we wanted. We're at ease and we're blessed and fortunate that we had this opportunity, and it was an unbelievable night. I mean, I know everybody that was here and everybody that got to see the game saw one of the better high school football games they've ever seen. So, you know, we came up short, but man, we're proud of our guys.
That's Vermilion Catholic head football coach Brock Prejean after the Eagles' heartbreaking loss in overtime tonight to Ouachita Christian. The Eagles coming up just shy of going to a state championship. Well, let's see those final four nominees for Play of the Year, sponsored by the law offices of Blaine Berrio. Nominee number 7 coming from running back Kieran Davis of St. Edmund. He'll calmly pick up 10, and then he'll quietly get a team effort here as he just moves the pile for 11 more yards, a 21-yard pickup for the sophomore who rushed for 227 that night against Westminster.
That's a big boy performance. Week 8 came courtesy of Gabe Leonards of Notre Dame on a UNICE fumble.
Oh, I like
the
this
defensive lineman gets the scoop, the stretch, the score. Oh, yeah, I love this play. As you can tell,
like,
we get excited about these plays. Backwards into the end zone for the score for Notre Dame.
Haven't seen these plays in some weeks, and they're fun to look back on. Week 9, our playoff Week 1 winner is Turling's running back Tyreek Gary. You know, he kind of went left. He came back across the field. You know, he's going to run. Tyreek is going to, you know, get in the end zone. I mean, the dude, I think, touched all corners of that end zone in that blowout.
It was a 5-yard run in the books, but a 25-yard run in total yards. Now, and last, but certainly not least, Loreauville's Caleb Jacob does his best Kyler Murray impression, shaking and losing a few defenders, spins off before finally diving into the end zone for the touchdown. Go ahead, boy. That's nice work. Now, the routine works as usual. Just head to KATC.com. Vote for the top play of the year. I'll name the winner Sunday at 10. You have until 8 that night to vote.
Yeah, one final block for FNF for the year, Seth, and it's only right that we start in 2A with Loreauville, where the transformation of the Tigers in year 3 of Terry Martin's era has been remarkable.
Yeah, not only are they the 3 seed, but Loreauville has won their first 2 games by a combined score of 91-18. A matchup against 6 seed Kinder.
Karen Crow wasn't playing?
Man, Loreauville's toughest test yet. Second quarter, Kinder's Graham Fawcett hands off to Tylen Caesar, tackled by Caleb Jacob, first down Yellow Jackets. With the end zone just yards away, Bryce Laughlin powers through Tigers defense, scoring the night's first touchdown, 7-0. Same score in the third. Loreauville is going to be able to tie the game as Caleb Jacob loads up and launches a missile to Ethan Simon. He torches the Jacket defense for 7-7 after regulation. 14 all in double overtime. Kinder takes the lead. Griffin Cooley scores. So Jackets lead 21-14. Tigers facing 4th down now. Jacob rolling out, throws out to the end zone, but Kinder denies the Tigers as Loreauville falls 21-14 in double OT.
In 1A, it's Centerville hosting Grand Lake. The Hornets in the midst of its best season in program history. Centerville starts their first drive with a run on the outside with Travis Billiot. He gets enough for the first down. After a field goal by Centerville, Grand Lake shows off their run game with a huge run by Christopher Murrell. He breaks and pushes defenders for the big gain.
Get off me. Come on, man. Look at Mark Ingram out there.
Second quarter, Grand Lake moving down the field. A quick pass to Braden Richard, who shakes off the defender for a massive gain, knocking on the door of the goal line. They snap the ball to Connor Giat, who keeps it and hops over the defender for Grand Lake's first score of the game. There it is. It's the QB sneak. Grand Lake's going to beat Centerville 27-6. I do think we do have these Notre Dame highlights. Do you guys have those highlights in yet, folks? Okay, we're going to move on to our headlines tonight. We're still going to try to get those Notre Dame highlights. Absolutely. We have them coming very shortly. But let's take a look at these headlines of the night. Church Point, stunning St. James, STM LCA booking championship dates, and, of course, moving the championships to Turpin. That's what I want to talk about first, Seth. We're going to try to get into some of these other notes here in a little bit. But let's talk about the game going to Turpin, the state championships going there, Seth. This is an interesting move, and I think the the implications on the field are what stands out to me. You're not in a dome anymore. You're on a grass field in winter, and it could be cold, it could be wet.
Yeah, I mean, and I remember I was actually at, I believe, the last state championship game that wasn't in New Orleans. That was when they played the championships in Shreveport in 2005. Opelousas Catholic was one of the teams from this area that represented out there playing against Evangel in that game. And it was just different. I mean, to be honest, it was just a different atmosphere. I mean, you talk to any coach, they'll say, we'll play in a barn.
I've seen teams practice in a barn.
Yeah, I mean, true. It's very true. But I mean, like, you know, it doesn't really matter where they play. We even saw that with the private schools last year and them playing at UL, at STM. But it's different, though. It's different than playing at a professional dome that is worldwide known and that the Saints play in and that obviously the Sugar Bowl is in and so many other events. So it's certainly going to have a different feel. Weather is going to be an element that could come into play.
That's what I'm looking at, weather.
Yes.
You know, we've talked about things like, you know, St. Thomas More and, you know, how once they get into that dome, they're going to be unstoppable. They're not going to be in that dome. A rainy game, forcing them to run the ball, something along those lines, that team is going to struggle more than it would, certainly.
I wouldn't say struggle.
But I mean, that's why I say struggle more. It's going to be more difficult for them to move the ball in a rainy, windy, wet, cold game than it would be in the perfect conditions of the dome, where I don't think that offense is literally stoppable in a perfect dome scenario. So it's going to be different for them. A team like Acadiana is probably going to like it a little better because if they get that rain, if they get the cold wind, that just plays into their hands. So I do think the weather implication is going to be interesting. We'll see if it affects any of our teams or how it affects any of the teams. Of course, Acadiana, we might be putting the cart in front of the horse, but you know that's a team that certainly looks good. But I want to talk about Church Point real quick as we wait to try to get to these Notre Dame highlights. That was a big win over St. James. I mean, and that defense was up to the task.
I mean, you know, we've talked about it a little bit, but, you know, Rob Poole is the new defensive coordinator over there at Church Point. If that name sounds familiar, that was Lafayette's former head coach over the previous few years. And, man, I mean, Church Point's defense just looked on fire. And, look, St. James, according to a lot of people, it was St. James in the field in 3A this year, to be honest.
I don't think it's that anymore.
It's not that anymore, but that's how a lot of people felt. It was going to be St. James and who is going to be the other team that joins them in the dome. So for Church Point to be able to pull off the upset like that against the former state champs, against a team that has several D1 prospects on it, I mean, that just says so much about J.C. Arsenault and his crew. And they've been waiting for this moment, right? Like they've constantly had good teams over the past few years, but it's maybe the quarterfinals or the second round. But to be able to get to this semifinal round with one round to go before punching their ticket to Turpin, that phrase still doesn't sound all the way right for me, but punching their ticket to Turpin, it just speaks to just the resilience and really what they've built as a program overall.
Yeah, I was really impressed the way that defense played tonight. I was actually at that game. Church Point 2-0 now with me in attendance. So
well, and look, I'm not sure if it was a headline of the night. Anytime a team scores 81 points,
yes,
that is eye-popping.
Wow.
I mean,
it was really eye-popping.
Somebody from Plaquemine had to said something about somebody's mama at Karen Crow, because otherwise you just don't do that. Like, you don't just put up 81 points on a team. That's not nice. That's not nice, Karen Crow. Like, what in the world? So I mean, like, I mean, 47 points at halftime. I mean, we talk about weather and you talk about Natchitoches. That should help them, you know, when you talk about weather and you talk about their veer offense, because usually they like to grind out victories. Let me tell you, there was nothing that was grinded out tonight. They just rolled. They just rolled. That's just what it was.
It was good for Karen Crow to get that win tonight. But STM, LCA, they both booked their tickets to the state championship. How huge is that for those programs? I know they've been there, they've done that, but how big is that? How big is that championship for them?
It's always big. For me, if I had to choose one, I feel like it's bigger when it comes to LCA because they were a 5 seed and they were. I feel like they were disrespected. My head's bobbing
all around.
Yeah, they were disrespected.
Trying to communicate with too many people, folks.
Yeah, that's for certain.
But hey, No, we got to wrap this show up here,
Yeah,
Seth. It is
do.
our final Friday Night Football show of the season, but I do want to point out that this is not the end of our high school football coverage. It is going to continue during our regularly scheduled 10 o'clock newscast. But I do want to thank everyone who works behind the scenes. They work so hard to put this show on the floor. You get the floor director, the production crew, directors, all of those people, the photogs, help us make this show every week. And I want to always thank them at the end of our season. And thank you for watching. Have a great night.